Hello everyone and welcome to Outriders New Horizon. In today's video I'm going to share with you the upgraded version of my previous build that has the best potential for single target DPS without investing in bonus firepower or anomaly power. In case you've missed it, I already made a similar build using the Reforged set. It has better potential for AoE thanks to Thermal Bomb. However, this new version has much better single target DPS and it's so ridiculous, it works so well that I wanted to demonstrate it with all my pieces having only max health. That's why you see I have 48,000 hit points. But without any further delay, let's have a closer look at the build. Starting with the Thermal Bomb, we're going to use this as a debuff skill. It's one of the best debuffs for the Pyromancer, 40% extra damage thanks to our mods. We're not going to use it so much for AoE, so we're going to debuff faraway enemies or elites to finish them off quite fast. Ash Blast, because of the death sentence of course, pretty self-explanatory, one of the best, if not the best crowd control for the Pyromancer. And we're using, yes, volcanic rounds. Surprisingly, we're not going to use an unlimited build because we don't need to. Volcanic rounds actually scale very well with the mod damage. I will explain to you later and why. And we're going to use this as a nuke tool against elites, high health enemies and of course bosses. So let's have a closer look at the armor and mods. You will see everything in the background, that every piece is an epic piece that uses max health. But let's have a closer look at each individual piece and what mods we're using. Starting with the helmet, as you can see, max health, cooldown reduction, status power. These are to-go attributes. The status power is very important so we can keep the enemies remain in Ash to deal more damage and the vulnerable status. Only one piece will have skill life leads in order to have a little more survivability against 1 versus 1 when you face a boss. Now, Captain Hunter, the best percentage against elites, damage absorber. Moving on to the chest, we're using Fire Frenzy, Double Fan, so an additional charge for the Thermal Bomb, and the Thermal Bomb will affect 2 targets. For the legs, max health, cooldown reduction, and this is actually the new mod. This is the best mod you can do for single target DPS increase. Volcanic rounds decrease the resistance of enemies by 50%. Why is this important? This won't scale with the volcanic rounds themselves, but with our main source of DPS, which is the mods. I have tested this without and with susceptibility. Now, volcanic rounds by themselves increase the damage by the mods quite a lot. With susceptibility, the damage is increased even further, resulting in a very insane amount of damage in very short periods of time. That's why this is the best mod you can go for this type of build. And of course, bullet kindling to increase 20% damage against targets. The only piece I use with skill life leech, branding the best debuff. For the Thermal Bomb, Ashen Boost, 20% more damage against enemies afflicted with Ash. And of course, last but not least, Ash increase range and death sentence. So both weapon and anomaly damage will be increased. This actually scales with our weapon mods, and that's why we're using only mods to increase the percentage of damage. Now, moving on to the weapons, I have tested 3 weapons because we need the Claymore Torrent and Ultimate Storm Whip. They are the best mods you can use for burst damage and everything. Damascus Offering may seem the best choice because of the 100 clip size. However, this actually is not even for my previous build. I have used the Thunderbird that works a little better because of the RPM. And for this type of build, the Daimyo is the best after a lot of testing, because actually even this doesn't have, let's say, god roll firepower, it actually deals quite decent amount of damage with the volcanic rounds against bosses. Each hit deals around 200k for its burst damage, so 600k per hit, so for criticals it will make a difference compared to the other 2 weapons that hit for 8,000 to 100,000, something like that. But also it has 60 bullets, better crit multiplier and better reload speed, so this is the best weapon you can use for burst damage. This is the best to have more volcanic rounds, but after you test the Daimyo, believe me, you will see the difference. You saw the intro, you saw the background, the bosses just die in a matter of seconds using these and volcanic rounds. Now, for the secondary weapon, the guillotine or the Anemo shotgun, the both choices are once again the morning winds, radiation splash, after reload to inflict burst amounts of damage for our opening. and the sidearm I don't use it. Although I do believe that ultimate damage link, because we have the volcanic rounds and with a Damio deal decent amounts of damage, you may do some shenanigans with the ultimate damage link against bosses, but it requires a build up, and actually you don't need that build up. The skill cooldowns are awesome. Until you do that build up, you have already did first rotation, and the second rotation for the second thermal bomb will be up, so I don't think this is necessary. Only unless you go for the group and to buff further the damage from the group. For our talents, you will see a slight difference compared to our previous build. Once again, we focus on the Ashbreaker. First difference is we're using conflagration. 15% resistance is not the best, however, we also have the susceptibility that we further decrease the resistances of the enemies by 50%, and conflagration on top of that will make a slight difference, and because we have so much status power, we actually have 120% status power, we don't need the Curse of the Pompeii any longer, so that's why we invest a little bit for single target DPS. Now, we don't need anomaly power, that's why I have focused to lower the cooldown of the volcanic rounds ever further. That's why we have 12 seconds cooldown, which is actually pretty good. You can use it quite often during your expeditions and deal huge amounts of damage during certain amounts of time. Wildfire, of course, and Words Ablaze to further decrease the cooldowns. Now, that being said, in case you don't care about the cooldowns and some additional health, you can ignore this and get for 5% more damage trial by fire. And in case you want to change a few pieces for anomaly power to further buff the thermal bomb, you can of course also go for hot situation and sacrifice the warm up to get these two and hot situation. However, I don't think it's worth it if you go for solo with a group. Usually on a group you will have someone that deals better AoE than you, and you can debuff the enemies and help for everything, single target, AoE, and debuffing and crowd control. And one more thing, just in case you don't have enough skill life leech, although with a Damio and a piece with skill life leech you will have 9%, which in my opinion is more than enough after testing. After all, you have 48,000 hit points, and you also have the damage absorber to have 67% physical damage mitigation, which is important. Without this, you will have, for example, a 50%. So yes, 15% extra mitigation, 17% extra mitigation is quite important, especially since the gunners hurt a lot. You can also change this with a quench up to get 6% extra skill life leech instead of the warm up. However, I didn't find it important. I never died in any of the expeditions. I came close to dying, however, it's easy to recover because you have a brief amount of time, kill enemies, skill life leech and everything will bring you up, and I don't believe you will need an unquenchable. The rotation works a little different compared to our previous build because we don't have the Feed the Flames. So against bosses and elites you can open with double thermal bomb, Death Sentence, proc primary weapon mode, switch to secondary weapon mode to proc 5 to 4 million damage from the AoE, switch to your primary weapon, pop volcanic rounds, start nuking, and after the thermal bomb is back, double thermal bomb, Death Sentence while shooting, and you will just be able to melt the bosses, most of them in the 2 circles, only 2 uses of thermal bomb. Some bosses may need more rotations compared to others, such as the Summon from the Wellspring, or the Secret boss from the City of Nomads, or the Spider boss, although it makes sense now to hit the Spider boss in the weak spot, because volcanic rounds and Damio deal pretty decent amount of damage. A few tips while using the build: you can pick up faraway enemies without the use of volcanic rounds, only Death Sentence, nor Thermal Bomb. Thermal Bomb you can save it against alphas, elites and high health enemies, and the combination of Death Sentence, one thermal bomb and volcanic rounds can decimate many elites and many high health enemies, or Death Sentence and secondary weapon can kill the enemies, so you can do some combos and save your cooldowns for different type of enemies, so you can improve a little bit your timers. Now, about our Damio, I have to show you here on base how to use it without having any recoil, because if you keep pressing it and using it as a quote-unquote full auto, you see the big circle and how much recoil we have, and in my video you saw I have 0 recoil, and no, I'm not cheating, I'm actually tapping, which means I tap my mouse, I don't hold my mouse, because you see if I tap it, you don't have any recoil, almost 0 recoil. That's why it's very good, especially when you nuke down bosses, instead of just holding down and having to move your mouse in order to hit the criticals, because the criticals are quite important with this build. You can tap it and simply you won't be able to miss. And this is a part where I tell you about the advantages and disadvantages of the build. Honestly, there is only if you want a disadvantage. It's not the fastest build compared to the Pyromancer, it doesn't have the best AoE. That's it. This build is ridiculous, it works very well, it has extreme survivability, 48,000 hit points and 67% mitigation, and you have skill life leech, and because you mark the whole map with the Ash Blast, each enemy you kill will heal you for a portion of health, and the more health you have, the higher heals you get, so it's near impossible to die. And you also have insane crowd control. Ash Blast will keep even elites, not bosses, but elites, trapped in Ash for a very long period of time and giving you the opportunity to just start picking up the enemies. Before I close my video, I have to mention something. Why I haven't invested in anomaly power, bonus firepower, and anything. Now, bonus firepower won't give us as much damage increase as you think. Volcanic rounds actually deal much less damage, if you see in the background, compared to the weapon mode, so it's not our primary source of DPS. Yes, it will make a difference when you fight bosses only, that's it. However, if you want to see a difference, you have to sacrifice one of the attributes and add close range damage or long range damage. Then of course you can see quite a spike to the DPS against bosses. However, you have to sacrifice, for example, health and status power. So you sacrifice crowd control capabilities, you sacrifice survivability for damage. Of course you can do that in case you want to adjust the build to your needs. However, I don't recommend it because you don't need to do it. Also, you don't need to invest in anomaly power. You won't deal as much damage with thermal bomb. In case you want to do something similar, I do recommend to check my previous build. That works better because you can have 3 pieces with anomaly power only, the Reforged set, 2 pieces with max health, so you have a better balanced, let's say, build that deals decent AoE with thermal bomb because it deals 75% extra damage, 3 pieces of anomaly power, and you also have a little more max health to survive. However, you lack a little bit of single target DPS compared to this version of the build. And that was it for today's video. I really hope you liked this type of ridiculously good, let's say, casual serious build, because uses max health that should be casual, but it's actually quite competitive. It debuffs the enemies quite a lot. I really want to test this in group, but if you check in the description, I have lost my resources when I joined a group and I don't want to do that again, so I'm not risking until they fix it. However, once they fix it, this is probably the first build I'm going to try in multiplayer. So feel free to like if you liked, and you can subscribe for more upcoming videos for Outriders New Horizon and other video games. And as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.
Like caressing an angel, burning up in the atmosphere, and with the blood of a dying star above, my true aesthetics unwinding, and I'm about to come undone. So don't let me